Welcome to the beautiful city of Haarlem. Our journey is right here in front of the train station. And this is not just a random choice. The train station is actually pretty old. It opened in 1839, and the railway between Amsterdam and Haarlem is the oldest one in the Netherlands.
But Haarlem's history goes way further back than that. The city was founded in the Middle Ages, and by the 17th century, during what's called the Dutch Golden Age, it became one of the most important cities in the country. Haarlem was famous for its art, trade and textile industry, and during the Reformation it attracted many artisans from the south, including Frans, one of the great Dutch masters. If you walk through the city today, you can still feel that history everywhere. In the narrow streets, the old houses, and of course the beautiful Grote Markt in the city center. Haarlem also played a role in the tulip mania in the 1600s, the first major economic bubble in the world, because many tulip traders lived there. So, from the country's first railroad connection to centuries of art and culture, Haarlem has always been a city that connects people, ideas, and history.
When talking about this wonderful city, we cannot ignore the impact of immigration on the development of Haarlem. Although it is not such a popular magnet for newcomers today, the situation was very different half a millennium ago. Many people were unhappy with the corrupt structure and power of the church and decided to rebel against the old order. During the 16th century, a wave of Reformation went through Europe, and of course the Low Countries, Belgium and the Netherlands were affected by it as well, and Protestants from the south were seeking refuge in Haarlem. In the period of Reformation, the Netherlands were kind of split into two large camps, with the Protestants gaining power in the north and the Catholics retaining power in the south. This religious divide resulted in the 80 Years' War, as well as inquisition of the numerous heretics that went against the Catholic Church. Some were burned alive, and some were forced to flee the southern Netherlands inhabited by the Flemish people to escape persecution. One of their main destinations, Haarlem, was quite progressive in the religious sense and very attractive in terms of business opportunities, the quality that was enhanced even further by the Flemish newcomers, one of whom was an architect Lieven de Key, author of many iconic buildings of the city, and, funnily enough, the patron saint of Haarlem, Saint Bava, was of Flemish origin as well.
We are walking now on the Bakkenesgracht. This used to be one of the main grounds for the brewing industry in Haarlem. And you have to imagine that this river really smelled of beer. Haarlem was once a brewing powerhouse. In the early 1500s, the city had around 80 breweries, and beer taxes brought in up to a third of all municipal revenue. But the city of Haarlem changed everything. By 1576, only 7 breweries were left, and remarkably, 2 of them were run by women. This is Donkersparne 56, and it used to host a brewery that was called the Vogelstrauss. This is the only surviving building in this area that we know for sure hosted a very productive brewery. Brewing was a big business in Haarlem. A brewery could run with just 3 to 5 workers, yet 1 in 20 people in the Dutch Republic earned their living from beer. It was also a major trade among Flemish immigrants who settled in the city. Moreover, when a brewer died, his wife or children could inherit the guild membership for free, so women often stepped in. The Olikan family became one of Haarlem's great brewing dynasties. Mark de Voogd married Jacob Pieter Olikan in 1595, bringing the brewery Het Hofijzer into the family, and together they later founded the Vogelstrauss. Their daughter Gertruid Olikan eventually took over the Vogelstrauss as an independent brewster, while their son Jacob and his wife Aletta Hanemans ran Het Hofijzer. After Jacob died, Aletta continued to run the brewery for 13 years, and it was later passed on to her daughter Oana, who carried on the business with her brewer husband.
This is the Amsterdamse Poort. In the 17th century, the side facing the city was rebuilt by Lieven de Key. The Amsterdamse Poort in Haarlem served as a fortified gateway that controlled who and what could enter or leave the city, helping protect Haarlem from potential attacks. It also acted as a checkpoint for trade and travel, and during epidemics it allowed city officials to inspect travelers' health and prevent the spread of disease. The only gate of the original 12 city gates, it dates back to the 14th century and stands along the old route from Amsterdam to Haarlem. In 1612, de Key rebuilt the city side of the gate and gave it a late Gothic appearance. This is the weigh house, which was built by Lieven de Key. Its function was to weigh goods which were arriving by ship along this river. De Waag, or the weigh house. The building's location was highly strategic, situated directly on the banks of the Spane River, one of the essential trade routes. As a public weigh house, its function was to officially weigh goods, primarily grain, cheese and butter. This was essential for trade, ensuring fair commerce and allowing the city to collect weighing tax, which was a major source of municipal income. A large wooden crane, operated by manpower, stood on the quay right next to the Waag to hoist goods directly from the ships into the weighing hall, a fixture visible in many historic paintings. The only
We good.
The Vleeshouw, another building by Lieven de Key. This was the only place in Haarlem which was allowed to sell fresh meat, and it remained in service until 19th century. The Vleeshouw. The original Vleeshouw, which stood nearby, was a small structure from the 14th century, and it became unsuitable for a growing modern city. The local council decided to build a new larger one, which will also reflect Haarlem's wealth. So when de Key presented them with two plans, the city council opted for the most expensive one with the finest materials. De Key demonstrates here his potential without being limited by the budget. The facade splendidly decorated with striking ornaments, including ox and ram heads. Stepped gable top is crowned by the city's coats of arms. It functioned as a meat hall until 1840. Fun fact, in 1892, the West End Collegiate Church was built in Upper West Side Manhattan, New York, following the design of the Vleeshouw. It was built to replace the first permanent church constructed for Dutch settlers in 1642.
This is Straten, where most of the rich textile merchants in Haarlem lived in the 17th century, including Willem.
Straten was a prestigious address where many wealthy cloth trading families lived in the 17th century. The textile boom of Haarlem was owed to the merchants and workers who immigrated from the Flemish territories. The city became known for its high-quality linen and its large bleaching fields, where cloth was washed and whitened in the sun before being sold across Europe. This industry attracted skilled workers, merchants, and ministers, and played a major role in shaping Haarlem's economy, landscape, and growing wealth during the Golden Age.
Here we can see the new kerk. In the middle you can see the tower of St. Anna Church. It was built in 1613, also by de Key.
This richly decorated tower has long been credited to de Key because of its strong stylistic similarity to the Vleeshouw. Records show that in August 1613, de Key received 112 guilders for creating 2 Haarlem coats of arms, each with 2 lions made of hard stone, and one of these lions is featured on the tower. The decision to build the tower next to the old St. Anna Church was made in 1610. Since many Flemish emigrants lived in the nearby area, it is likely de Key devoted special attention to the structure. While the tower echoes Flemish architectural styles, it stands out as a notable example of Dutch Renaissance design.
Warm vanaf Frans Hals Museum. This is how proud Haarlem people are of Frans Hals. But even though he's one of the most famous Dutch artists, he is actually Flemish, from Antwerp. And so are a lot of the other Haarlem school painters that you can see and enjoy inside of the museum.
Frans Hals revolutionized portraiters. These portraiters made him famous way beyond Haarlem. Frans Hals completely shook off group portraits. Instead of lining everyone up like statues, he painted people the way they actually were mid-gesture, mid-laugh, mid-conversation. His portraits feel like someone hit pause on real life. You see tiny movements, a guy shifting in his chair, someone raising a glass, a quick glance between friends, and the brushwork, widely loose and fast, but somehow perfect. It gives everything this buzzing energy, like you're standing right there with them. A 19th century painter even joked that the hand of one of Hals' regentsnesses looked so real he wanted to reach out and grab it. That's the magic of Hals. His painting feel alive in a way nobody else was doing at the time. Frans Hals was considered modern, even during his life. Getting your portrait done back then was a big deal, a bold move, especially for those wealthy brewing families in Haarlem. You were basically saying, "This is who I am, and I'm proud of it." So choosing your artist mattered. Hals' main competition, Johannes Villesfunk, painted super traditional portraits, neat, careful, and honestly a little flat. Totally safe. Hals, dramatic, flashy, fearless. He took risks, and his portrait explode with personality. So imagine you live back then. Who would you pick? The safe guy or Frans Hals?
One of the prominent figures linked to Haarlem's textile wealth was Willem van Heidhuizen. He was born in Weert in the south and later moved to Haarlem and became a textile merchant. Haarlem was an ideal center for the textile industry, partly because of its location beside the coastal dunes, which provided naturally filtered, exceptionally clean water. This made Haarlem-made linens especially bright and white, giving them a strong reputation across Europe. Willem van Heidhuizen built his fortune in textiles and commissioned several well-known portraits from Frans Hals, reflecting both his wealth and status in the city. Through his will, he asked for the Hofjes to be built and maintained after his death with funds from the proceeds of his estate. A Hofje is a courtyard surrounded by almshouses, traditionally built to provide housing for elderly people and funded by private donors. These foundations are often seen as the earliest form of social housing. Establishing a Hofje was also a common practice among wealthy citizens, as it aligned with Protestant values of charity and community service, allowing benefactors to give back to society through acts of public good. Many Hofjes are still in use today, with residents living in them just as they were intended, including this one built from Van Heidhuizen's fortune.